Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let's aim for 10,000 likes on this video. It might seem hard, but I trust you can make it happen. Now, let's begin. At start of drama we are shown an ambulance shatters the night's silence, rushing a patient to the hospital, but the person on the stretcher doesn't make it. This is a young-looking suicide victim who signed organ donation papers. Two doctors sigh as they proceed to extract his organs for the documents. For some reason, the deceased's skin is unusually tough, making the extraction process extremely difficult. Suddenly, a nurse screams and stumbles out of the room. The two doctors turn to see the patient on the operating table spontaneously combust, turning entirely to ash and vanishing. Later, the suicide victim's heart is transplanted into the matching patient. Wayno. Strangely, she shows no reaction whatsoever, stabilizing. Immediately after surgery, finding nothing amiss, the hospital discharges Wayno. Her most noticeable change posts surgery is a mysterious circular mark that inexplicably appears on her wrist. One's dad runs a taekwondo gym, so she practiced taekwondo from a young age, until she had a heart attack during a match, and her dad absolutely wouldn't let her continue because Wanio's mother and grandfather both died from heart disease. But how could she just give up the sport she loved since childhood? While her dad was chatting with the landlord, Wanio took a flying kick at a punching bag and actually split it open with a single strike. This level of strength was something she couldn't achieve even before her surgery. So, Wanio got the idea to test her physical power. She came to a long slope, tightened her shoelaces, and started sprinting, ending up running faster than a delivery scooter. For a moment, Wanio felt like she was about to take flight. She ran with growing excitement, couldn't brake in time, and crashed headlong into a roadside truck, nearly rocking the vehicle. Her strength was immense. Someone secretly filmed Wanio running and posted the video online. The taekwondo uniform tied around her waist gave away exactly who she was. A guy named Ji-sun followed the name on the uniform all the way to the taekwondo gym. He tried to sneak a photo, but Wanio caught him red-handed. He was a grown man yet couldn't shake off the young girl. At that moment, Wanio saw that Jeong also had a strangely shaped mark on his arm. Jeong told Wanio that he too had received an organ transplant and gained superpowers because of it. One donor can donate up to 6 organs: heart, lungs, corneas, liver, pancreas, kidneys, meaning that special donor gave superpowers to at least 6 people. Jian was searching for other recipients. Perhaps he was a lucky charm, because after finding Wanio, he surprisingly met a third superpowered person very soon. That day, Wanio sneaked out to join a running race behind her dad's back because the winner could get a new pair of sneakers. Ji-sun waited for her in the shade. Shortly after, an older woman approached, saying she wanted to hand out free lactobacillus drinks because she had recently had a kidney transplant, was now healthy, and wanted to give back to society. Hearing this, the two immediately checked her arms, but there was no strange mark there. Just as Jeong was about to give up, he spotted a circular pattern on the small of her back. The scene shifts to a mansion where several shamans perform strange rituals around an old man lying sick in bed. The patient's eldest daughter stepped out to take a call. She complained to the person on the phone, "Organs aren't batteries. Dad has already replaced several." The doctor said this time it's a new pancreas, but the old man looks like he's nearing death's door. Yet right after she spoke, the old man sat up complaining he was hungry, showing no sign of being at death's door. It could be seen he also had a strange mark on his wrist. Clearly, this wealthy old man was a superpowered person, too. Meanwhile, at an electronic store, a young man wearing sunglasses casually snapped his fingers, and all the TVs in front of him switched off simultaneously. Electric current wildly fluctuated wherever he passed. Hanged crossed the street and entered a building, using his superpower to dominate the arcade, then exchanged all his winnings for luxury goods. Hang Kong was completely at ease, seeming fully adapted to his brand new body. The scene shifts back to Wanseo. She and Jeong took Suneo out for a meal and used the chance to explain their superpowers. For example, Jeong had undergone a lung transplant, so his ability was tied to his lung capacity. He could exhale and create hurricane force winds. But so far, Suneo hadn't shown any signs of awakened powers. Seong told her not to worry when people with special gifts come together. Their abilities eventually awaken on their own right. After he spoke, the light bulbs overhead started flickering wildly, and then Hang Ki-dong suddenly appeared. He knew all 3 people present intimately, already, aware they were also transplant recipients. Hang Jong received coral transplants. He explained that within a certain range, upon encountering another superpowered transplant recipient, he could see the glowing pattern on their wrist, which is how he confirmed their identities. Park Jeong didn't feel friendly towards this newcomer. The next day, he found a chance to tell Wanyo, actually the villains are hiding among the superpowered. They attack their own kind, wanting to monopolize all the abilities for themselves. So, we must stay alert and not easily trust superpowered individuals who appear suddenly. Yet, right after he spoke, they received a distress text from Hang Jong. Turns out he got caught cheating at the arcade by the security guys. Fortunately, the superpowered trio arrived just in time. Park just scratched his butt and slipped into the restroom. Honestly, he looked down on Hang Jong and didn't want to help at all. But one, Seo's heroic complex kicked in, insisting on fighting injustice from Suneo's yogurt drink and playfully stuck it under Park Jong's nose. That triggered a massive sneeze, powerful enough to blast a bunch of burly men off their feet. At the same time, the wealthy old man's superpower accidentally awakened. He and a partner named Hwang Jang-chun got rich by starting a cult and selling miracle medicine. They shared the struggles, but when the money started rolling in, the loyalty didn't. That day, they fought over profit distribution. The old tycoon grabbed Hwang Bingwen's neck and in his agitated state, accidentally triggered his power, draining Hwang Bing's life force into himself. Hwang Bingchan instantly aged decades, while the old tycoon's wrinkles noticeably lessened. Sensing something, he reached towards a flower pot and indeed drained the green plant dry. One might think he had trained in some life-draining technique. The scene shifts to beneath a grand church. Yusun was hurrying the workers because of the recent church revival event. The workers were pulling all-nighters. A worker named Lee Sun-hun couldn't take it anymore and stepped forward, accusing Yusun of violating labor standards laws. While they were arguing, an alarm suddenly blared. A worker had fallen from height due to inadequate safety measures. When no one was watching, Jesse quietly placed his hand on the worker's fractured limb. Moments later, the injury was completely healed, but Jusun was hit with a sharp pain in his lower back and had to tough it out in silence. Simultaneously, the old tycoon's daughter, having witnessed the life-draining, cleverly guessed this superpower must be related to her father's transplant surgery, and other recipients might have awakened abilities, too. The eyes immediately ordered her assistant to find all the superpowered individuals. Got to admit, the assistant was impressively efficient, managed to track this place down in no time. At that moment, a few superpowered folks were clinging to a tiny car, doing everything they could to dodge the gang members hot on their trail. The assistant immediately gave chase upon seeing this, watching as 3 vehicles raced wildly through the streets. Thanks to Oneo pushing from behind, the electric cart managed to shake off the pursuers. After all, she could run faster than the vehicle, making this scene incredibly surreal, because the arcade security boss chased relentlessly, refusing to give up. Park Jeong had to steal some lactobacillus drinks to use as weapons, transforming into a pea shooter, battling the gangsters. Yogurt splattered all over the pursuers' windshield, causing them to lose direction. Before the 4 could even catch their breath, the cart slammed straight into a barbecue restaurant. Adopting the since we're here mentality, the 4 simply decided to have a meal inside, emerging only after night had fallen. Park Young and Hang Jong got into an argument over various issues. Hang Jong, an expert in circuitry and a top-tier hacker, knew Park Jeong's dirty secrets. He was aware Park Jeong had plagiarized a friend's script and published it as his own original work. Humiliated and enraged, Park Young slapped Hang Jong, but Hang Jong just snapped his fingers dismissively, instantly hacking into Park Young's phone to continue mocking his private information. One SEO, worried Park Young was upset, tried to pull him away, only for Park Young to make cruel remarks. I only stick around because I pity you. Did you actually think we were friends? The situation became so awkward that the 4 decided to part ways and go their separate paths. One SEO felt crushed. She'd taken a year off for medical leave and hadn't made a single friend at school. The time she spent with Park Chang and Sino meant everything to her. And now, just like that, it was over. Meanwhile, Sino went to visit a deceased acquaintance. The next day, having calmed down, Park Young went to apologize to Woneo, clarifying he hadn't plagiarized the script was meant to be co-written, but his friend dropped out of the project right at the start. Woneo hoped to mend their relationships and planned to gather all four together again. Elsewhere, the assistant showed the Aries the recorded video, and the AIS decided to exploit these superpowered individuals to develop new drugs for her pharmaceutical company, possibly even aiming for a Nobel Prize in medicine. By now, Woneo Suneo and Hang Jong had arrived at the meeting point. Jong had already figured out who the liver recipient was, and once Park Jeong showed up, they'd head up to find this new member. Outside the factory, the trio grew impatient, waiting for Park Young, arguing about disbanding when suddenly an explosion rocked the factory behind them. Yusun was frantically evacuating people inside, trying to minimize casualties, but the unfortunately Sunhun was trapped behind a jammed safety door. Seeing this, Yusun panicked, smashing the window wildly with his helmet. At the critical moment, Woneo arrived just in time, kicking the door open and using a series of taekwondo moves to deflect flying gas canisters. However, the innermost electronic security door was too sturdy to kick open quickly, so it was Hang Jong's turn. A snap of his fingers hacked the electronic lock system, successfully releasing it. Park Jeong also arrived belatedly. The site was filled with thick smoke, making it hard to locate the injured. Hang Jong snapped his fingers, activating all nearby phone ringtones, allowing Park Young to locate Lee Sunhun by sound. Ian rushed over to administer first aid. After reviving Lee Se-hun, he suddenly coughed up blood. Seong jolted in surprise and instinctively rushed over, grabbing Park Jong's hand. In that urgent moment, her powers suddenly kicked and she seemed able to link the abilities of the gifted, and by sheer accident, she helped Yuzhen recover his energy. With hazardous fumes rapidly filling the factory, the group planned to escape first, but Suneo suddenly stopped halfway. They had left Hang Jong inside. Park Ji was the first to get Lee Sunhan out safely. The others doubled back to look for Hang Jong, only to spot his sunglasses along the way. Clearly, he was in trouble. The toxic gas inside was overwhelming and one SEO's group had no solution. Fortunately, Park Young's power was perfectly suited to handle the noxious fumes. Holding his breath, he found Hang Jong. I thought Park Young might blow the gas away forcefully, but instead he pulled Hang Jong close and transferred their mouth to mouth. Though the sight was somewhat startling, it successfully got Hang Jong out of danger. Afterward, the five went to a nearby chicken restaurant to eat. Yusun confirmed he had indeed received a liver transplant and gained healing abilities. Though the pain transfers to Yusun, he can recover by drinking water and resting. Suno led the applause for Yusun. It's this selfless spirit that makes a true hero. Yusha looked a bit embarrassed at the praise, saying he should be the one thanking Sonio for saving him. What none present realized was that Sun Neo, who seemed warm and optimistic, had once suffered not only from depression but also anger management disorder. It was only after her rebirth that she chose to change. Everyone decided to be heroes and picked fun code names. Sunio became Flashlight Girl, Woneo was Rescue Hero, Xiong turned into Tank Uncle, Jiden was Bluetooth Guy, and Yushin called himself Battery Man. The five chatted and ate, freely sharing an indescribably warm atmosphere. The next day visited the injured Lee Sun-hoon at the New Spirit Church Hospital, only to unexpectedly run into the old man in the elevator, the one who could drain life energy. Yusun, showing deep respect, gave the New Spirit Church salute but accidentally revealed the mark on his wrist. The old man leaned in, eyes sharp with curiosity, and asked urgently, "Is that a tattoo?" The latter explained, "I received a transplant not long ago." This mark appeared afterward when asked if anything else had changed. UC found the idea of superpowers too ridiculous to admit, so he kept his healing ability to himself and simply said, "I feel incredibly healthy, maybe even a bit younger." Hearing that, the old man hatched a plan. Before leaving, he made sure to remember Yusun's name. That night, Yusun took extra shifts as already captured and taken to New Spirit Hospital. Without even using anesthesia, the Aries ordered doctors to remove Yusun's liver. But before they could proceed, the old master arrived. Though his intentions were far from noble, he asked the doctors if only part of the liver remains, can it regenerate? Receiving confirmation, he grabbed Yushin's neck to drain his life force, yet his power inexplicably failed against him. Thinking his ability had weakened, the old master tested it on a nearby doctor. This time, it worked. Instantly, clearly, the power couldn't affect shared body recipients. Left with no alternative, he ordered Yushin's liver to be carved out for his own transplant. Failing to obtain the liver, the Ares moved quickly, sending agents to capture the remaining superpowered. Park Jeong had just stepped out of a convenience store when suited bodyguards pinned him to a wall. They tickled him relentlessly, forcing him to inhale a special anesthetic from a handkerchief. He collapsed unconscious instantly. Meanwhile, Suneo and Hang Jong were similarly ambushed by the assistants team. Finally, Wanio was cornered at her family's dojang entrance. Though unaware of her troubles, her father shed his jacket, ready to fight, though his old arms and legs could only handle teaching children under 14. To protect his pride, Oneo swiftly struck behind him, her movements lightning fast and undetectable. Her father genuinely believed he'd defeated them all. After dispatching the thugs, he wobbled back to his daughter. The other three weren't as fortunate, captured by the Ares and locked in power-suppressing cells. Meanwhile, after the liver transplant, the old man's aging reversed. He was back in his prime and now looked younger than his own daughter. Poor Chenhua had intended to wait for Yonga's death to seize all his wealth, but now it was uncertain who would die first. Yet unsatisfied, he sought all transplant recipients to take their superpowered organs, aiming to become an omnipotent, worshipped god. Chuanhua couldn't resist her father's power, nor could her men restrain such a formidable superpowered, so Yongchan soon located the captured three. At that moment, Hang Zhang was attempting to snap his toes, since his hands were bound by specialized restraints. Just as he succeeded, two employees suddenly entered, strapping Hang Zhang to a gurney to take him away. He struggled with all his might and managed to send a distress signal to one SEO using just his toes, revealing his location. Got to say, Hang Zhang's powers turned out to be seriously useful. Not only did he send out a message, but he also remotely unlocked Suneo's electronic cell door, even as the doctor hit him with a sedative the very next second. Meanwhile, Wanio prepared to rescue her friends, but her father, learning of their plight, insisted on joining last. Time's battle had given him blind confidence. Hang Zhang had one cornea already removed. Luckily, he woke in time to save his other eye because the removal damaged that eye. The scene shifts to the New Spirit Church event proceeding on schedule, but Yonga's youthful transformation left the congregation stunned. Seeing this, Yongchun rocketed upwards, shattering his former portrait to demonstrate his might. Yet, violence breeds fear, not reverence. So, Yongchun swiftly changed tactics. He approached a paralyzed devote, curing their legs with his touch, then gently approached a gravely ill girl, restoring her health. Now truly seen as a deity, the worshippers fell to their knees in frenzied adoration. Yong Chan soon sensed Wanio approaching. He snapped his fingers to open their path, then descended dramatically onto a throne before Wanio and her father. Spotting the mark on his wrist, Wanio instinctively kicked, actually breaking Yonga's arm. Yongchun gulped mineral water, healing the fracture instantly. Next, Sun Neo and Park Jeong arrived, reuniting the trio. Yongchun declared, "Perfect. All here now. Hand over your organs." Enraged, Wanio's father charged with a sidekick, only to be swatted aside by Yongchun. Wanio caught him just in time, preventing severe injury. An epic battle erupted. Wanio charged Yongchun, both empowered. Their clash was earth-shattering, destruction rivaling a demolition crew. Despite her strength, Wanio only had one superpowered heart, no match for Yongwen's assembled enhancements. She was soon pounded away. Park Jeong and Suneo rushing to check on her. Park Jeong spat at Yongchun, who was both disgusted and furious at such a low move. With a flick of his finger, he knocked Jeong up cold. Then he turned to grab Si Yen, only to be shocked when he realized her power was transfer and swap abilities. He wouldn't need to steal organs individually. Suno could directly transfer their powers to him. But just then, Hang Zhang and Yushin showed up. Now all five of them were together and Yongchan was ready to take them all on at once. One stood at the front, whistling to Park Yong. Understanding, instantly, he blew a powerful gust to boost her. There was no way to beat the enemy alone, so everyone joined forces, using their powers to back up Wanyo. But Yongchun was just too powerful. Hang Jiden's fingers were practically sparking from the effort, but even that wasn't enough to take him down. Instead, the hall's pillars began collapsing, first revealing the steel frames beneath the crumbling statues. Oblivious to the fanatical worshippers, Yongchun absorbed puddled water to heal rapidly. He tossed Park Jeong and the others aside like chicks, then choked Wanyo, one-handed until she coughed up blood. He then reached for Sunio, but the five joined forces, gripping Yongchun and draining his healing power into Wanyo. Now that Yongchun had lost his powerful regeneration, he had no choice but to face Wanyo Hiden. But Wanyo, fueled like a super saiyan, overwhelmed him. Yongchun became a human punching bag, quickly beaten down. Their victory was short-lived. They had to focus on stabilizing the collapsing structure. Hang Jiden grabbed the wildly sparking statue frame, extinguishing the electrical surge under his friends' watchful eyes. As the five sighed in relief, preparing to heal the wounded, Yongchun seized the chance to lunge, trying to steal their powers. In the nick of time, Wanyo yelled, "Dad!" Her father delivered a flying kick, sending Yongchun sprawling. Deprived of his powers, he instantly aged. Hang Zhong snapped his fingers, teleporting the now ancient Yongchun back before the congregation, forcing his followers to witness their god's true form. From tragedy to teamwork, from organ donation to unstoppable power, High Five isn't just a wild ride. It's a supercharged saga of redemption, betrayal, and unlikely heroes. When five ordinary people come together, they don't just fight back, they fight for each other. And in the final blow, it's not power, but heart that brings down a self-proclaimed god. Our film ends here today. Until next time, goodbye.